How's everybody this evening? All right. Well, like always, I have a full show. I got a whole lot of stuff I'm going to talk about tonight. It's so much to unpack once again. Since I didn't come on yesterday, I got a lot to cover. A lot of developments, a lot of interesting things have taken place, a lot of fun facts, a lot of stuff, y'all, a lot of stuff. So we're going to get to this stuff. A couple of things going to be a little funny to you. A couple of things going to probably make you mad. But if I didn't do either one of those things and make you challenge all of your emotions, then I'm not doing my job. So let's get it kicked off, y'all. All right, we about to set it off. Hey, Valencia, how you? Thank you for checking in. Val, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. Man, y'all. So, for starters, I'm going to just start with, I got so much stuff to say, man. It's so much to do. So much to cover. You know, people are crazy, man. There's some wild folks out here. And they doing a lot of wild stuff. And we going to get with the program. So I'm going to go ahead and go and get this thing kicked off right quick. Now, just so you know, I named this show, WB Reese, thank you for checking in, my brother. I named this show Luda's Booty. I named the show Luda's Booty for a reason. Now, some people are going to think I'm talking about somebody's ass, but I'm not. I'm talking about the booty that the looters get. And when they steal stuff, we're going to talk about the looter's booty a little bit. And we're going to get into some nuances of all of this looting. Now, but before we go there, I want to talk about Bunker Bitch, in case you don't know who that is. That's the person who was supposedly hiding in the bunker. One of his protesters had a sign out there the other day that said Bunker Bitch on it. Because homeboy decided to hide in the bunker and then later on put up fences and all that type of thing so that he can try and make sure that nobody gets to him in the White House, because obviously he's shook. You know what I'm saying? That's why he had all of those. Good evening, Annette. Thank you for checking in. Thank you, Val, for that compliment. He had all of those military out there, sprayed tear gas on peaceful protesters, and had the military to push them all back so that he could do a photo op in front of the church holding up a Bible that probably should have exploded in his hand, and in which I later found out that the bishop of that church and denomination was outraged because she didn't like the idea that he decided to use their church and their spiritual monument as a prop, if you will. So, and it's unfortunate that he would do something like that. All right, so in doing so, doing that, my question becomes, or has become, how did this country get to a place where a draft dodger has amassed enough power to use the military that he did not want to be a part of, that he dodged, against its own citizens in this country that he refused to put on a uniform to protect? I think that's very ironic. The irony in that runs so deep that it's like kind of unbelievable. But I want you to be clear that inaction, much like silence, is the problem. The same way we get pissed off at white people for being silent when we have a situation like this. Good evening, Burma. Good evening, Renee. Thank you for checking in. Is the same way people feel when you do not exercise your right to vote, because that silence equals the same level of oppression in another way, though. So we all have a voice and we should be using them. On yesterday was actually a day of voting, and I hope that the people who in those 9 states, which included D.C., exercise their right to vote. Do not forget that we do not have the luxury of sitting around and not exercising that vote. Y'all think this is bad? Don't go vote and see how that happens. You don't have the luxury of not casting your vote for your local officials, your Congress people, your Senate people. If you do not exercise these votes, then you leave the door open for the Mitch McConnells of the world, who just today expressed his sentiment about all of this, and it is not a good one. We're not going to get into that because I don't care for his brand of anything. Now, here's the thing. I am excited that what we're dealing with in the injustices in the black community are finally being recognized globally. Not that people didn't recognize it. It's just that nobody stood up or paid any attention to it. I saw on yesterday where some of the NFL players apparently are getting to a place now where they are beginning to take the side of the Colin Kaepernicks of the world and have decided to they did a thing where they had on their uniform or their numbers or whatever their team names were, and they said they had a black shirt on over it, and they pulled it down and it said they're blacking out these teams. I would like to believe, and I hope, I pray that we as a people stop allowing our entertainment to overshadow our need for justice and exercise our ability to show the world that we can have enough solidarity and unity that we're dead serious about our justice, and therefore we will act accordingly and not place ourselves in a position to allow them to continue to make money off of our entertainment to the degree that we just I gotta watch the football game. Oh my God, man, the hell with that. We got bigger fish to fry. And if we continue to allow these micro encroachments into our lives happen, we're going to continue to stay losing. My theory has always been, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Black folks don't mind losing as long as they look good doing it. We got to stop that. Good evening, Phyllis. Thank you for checking in. Michael Samsonite, how are you today? Good to see you, my brother. DJ extraordinaire, Mr. Michael Samsonite in the building. I'm glad that finally the world is beginning. Mr. Daly, how are you? Gerald, my man, brother from the block. I'm glad that the world is actually, for the first time, and I'm optimistic, and don't get me wrong, I'm like everybody else. I'm kind of like, okay, it's looking like we headed in the right direction. I want us to be headed in the right direction, and I really hope that we are headed in that direction. But when I hear people all the way in the UK and in Australia that are paying attention to this movement, because this is no longer a moment. This is a movement. I've been a part of a lot of moments, hoping that they would turn into movements. And I very much appreciate that this is moving toward an actual movement. And I think that we have to capitalize on the momentum of what's taking place in order to be successful in realizing where we can take this and what the possibilities are and what can come from it. But it's up to us. Everybody sits around all the time and they keep talking about what they gonna do. They got to do this and they're gonna do that and they got to help us. No, we are the they. Y'all have heard me say it before. I'm gonna say it again. Let me repeat it. We are they. We must keep it together. Brother Rudy, thank you for checking in. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that compliment. We have to keep it together. If we don't keep it together, nobody else will. Nobody's gonna give us anything. And I've said it before. I say it again. Power concedes nothing without demand. So, ladies and gentlemen, we must have demands. In order to get demands, we must collectively come together and set a demand that is a necessity. So while I'm talking about collective action, I'm gonna bring this point up right quick because it's something that I'm gonna continue to push until it actually happens. July 7th, the blackout. Ladies and gentlemen, the blackout July 7th, which I heard was orchestrated by T.I. I don't care who organized it. I don't care who orchestrated it. On July 7th, keep your money in your pocket. That is my goal. That's what I want to see happen. I want us to collectively, you don't have to spend no money. It don't cost you nothing. It's not a problem. All you got to do is keep your money in your pocket just to make a statement, just to say to the world, okay, look, y'all, you want our money. You need to treat us like you got some sense. Which brings me to the looter's booty. We're going to get to that. I ain't ready for that yet. I got so much stuff to go over here. Today, by the way, in regard to your Mango Maniac, it appears that the Secretary of Defense, or the old Secretary of Defense, Mr. Mattis, James Mattis, he said that apparently Donald Trump is a threat to the actual Constitution. Now, you know, when a person who is in the position that he is tells the world that the president of this country is a threat to the fabric of what this country stands for, it's a problem. It's a serious problem. Once again, voting is critical. Now, there are people who say, oh, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden. Well, guess what? A lot of people don't want to vote for Joe Biden. So what? Because guess what? You really are not voting for Joe Biden. You're actually voting against Donald Trump. Now, I'm not trying to. Well, yes, I am. Let me not sit here and play that game. I don't have to be politically correct. I don't give a damn. My politics aside have really nothing to do whatever in party that I choose to identify with, which remains nameless. It doesn't matter. I consider myself an independent. But the point is that common sense and human decency would guide me to want a person who cares nothing about humanity to be leading a country where humanity is part of what we are based upon. We don't need him there. It's really just as simple as that. So y'all know how I feel about that. We have people literally protesting right now around the world in solidarity with George Floyd, his family, and our country, which, by the way, is damn near coming apart at the seams. And it also appears that I saw an article that we have literally Iran, Russia, China, Turkey, who are somewhat celebrating what's going on over here because they want to see this country come apart at the seams. It benefits them. Valerie Simmons, thank you for checking in. Wanda, how are you this evening? Sugar Ray, good to see you. I see you, Bob, my man from the block. Robert Wilson, my man. Kenny Mack, I see you. We have a country that literally is a powder keg, and our current 44+1 liar in chief is a match. He is fire, and he is going to do everything in his power to either get what he wants or burn this whole thing down. Charlotte, how are you this evening? Thank you for checking in. He is what we refer to as a scorched earth type of individual. When they don't get what they want, they're going to flip the whole table over and the hell with everybody. They can't win the game. Ain't nobody going to win the game. This is a very dangerous individual. That's something that we need to pay very close attention to. We're finally getting the recognition from other people, from other communities, of other races. They're finally, apparently, inevitably being forced to listen when we say that we are disproportionately affected by many things in this country. Particularly, well, COVID, for example. And the reasons why we're more affected by COVID, that a lot of people don't realize, that go back to a larger problem, is that we have less health care. And I also found out that I wasn't aware of. What I also found out that I wasn't aware of is that we have, of course, more underlying diseases. I knew that. But it turns out that black women are more susceptible, apparently, to these to COVID, particularly because we as black folks tend to be more in the service industry, the hotel workers, the nurses, the restaurant employees, and that type of thing. So needless to say, we're what we call essential workers, and we're more exposed than most. And so that, of course, puts us more in harm's way than other people. That's one thing. And it also turns out that the black community has only 1/10 of the wealth of the white community. So in other words, if somebody in the white community is making $170,000, most of the people in the black community are making about $17,000, which on average, that's I'm not even gonna call that low. But the fact is, when I did the research for the Black Factor, you all know it. Get your copy, bmforbes.com. In the Black Factor, I discussed what the average household income is, and I didn't know this until I did the homework myself, and I found out that the average household income nationally is between, well, let me put it this way, it's around 40 grand, and that's for a full house. Now, the thing is, there are a lot of people, see, credit and other things about our economy allow us a sort of a false sense of security in the way that we operate every day and the way that we pay our bills and those type of things. When in fact, most of the things that we all buy, we really can't afford, to be honest with you. Charles Reynolds, thank you for checking in, my man. Tika, I see you. The tea lady is in the building. We got the tea lady on with us tonight, Miss Tika. So the thing is, with these types of disparities in our income versus those around us, it also places us in a lot of other harm's way. So economically speaking, even if we have degreed individuals, it turns out that our degrees mean less than the average degree of our white counterparts. And of course, there are many of them who don't have the education that some of our black family have, and they still get more income than we do. Of course, we knew all of this. But the funny thing is that now, all of a sudden, all of these conversations are on the table. And I believe that this is an opportune time for these conversations to be had and for things to be worked on. What I am looking at, this is sort of like, if you pay attention to the way trends operate in this country, and you really pay attention and you watch what's happening, we are in a sort of a black Me Too movement. And I'm going to just tell y'all, take advantage of it. And what I mean by that is not nothing stupid. I mean, this is the opportune time to where if a person is holding you out, stalling you out because you black and you know it, this is the perfect time to call them out. If you know that you're worth more, you deserve more in your job or whatever the case may be, this is the perfect time to speak on it. This is the absolute perfect time to bring those things up, because nobody wants to be caught on the other side of this program as it stands, because being on the wrong side of history with a global shift like this that's taking place, it's not a good look. Yesterday, the president of the NFL took it upon himself to make a statement in regard to the NFL's position on justice for black people, which I thought was a damn joke. How are you going to sit here and say that you support everything that's going on when you had a man in your league who knelt down in protest of police brutality and y'all clowned him? Y'all ruined his career. You destroyed him. Well, you didn't destroy him. You tried to destroy his idea. You tried to make this about everything except what he said it was about. You made it about the flag. You made it about the soldiers. You wouldn't let the man get a job in the NFL. one of the best quarterbacks out there, and y'all didn't care because you were so busy stroking your own egos. You listened to Donald Trump when he jumped up there and he said, oh, he should be fired. They should be fired. Any man that kneels down is fired. Look at you now. What I would like to see is those very same players who didn't have the wherewithal to get his back before. If you black and in a professional ball league, you need to act like it. You need to act like there are injustices. You need to act like when the time comes, when your league does start back up, that you take the time to show your solidarity for the injustices in the black community. Period. If you're a black person who enjoys your sports and you just must watch, you need to watch with caveats. They need to understand if you want our visual dollars, if you want to make your advertising dollars work where that's concerned, you need to make sure that we understand that we're going to be treated fairly. Otherwise, the hell with your game. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but there was another football league starting up that got crushed because of COVID. They were just about to kick this thing off, which was going to go against everything the NFL stood for, so that they could not have to be bothered with this type of thing. Unfortunately, COVID came along and it went away very quickly. That's very unfortunate because I believe it would have shifted the way things get done, especially where black folks are concerned in Major League Football. So with that, we have a lot of disproportionate things that take place in our community. The thing is that being black in America, it means that we're going to work twice as hard. We're going to get half of what we deserve. Thing is, we already knew that. But now the rest of the world is being forced, inevitably, to pay attention. They have no choice but to pay attention because we have an awful lot of people out there in them streets that's raising nine kinds of hell. Finally, some of the silent majority, those white folks who sat back and didn't say anything and didn't chastise their friends. I tell you what, I had I've seen this particular subject came up a couple of times in the last few days where I've seen where white people would say things like, "What can I do to help?" Now, I can remember a quote from Malcolm X. Nothing. However, I don't feel that way. I feel that what they can do and what would benefit us all is if they spent the same amount of time chastising their bigoted friends as they do criticizing black people for feeling the way that they do, all because of their actions, then things would change dramatically. If every time somebody white heard one of their friends say, "I don't like," or "they're lazy, they're this, they're that," and blanketed us all into the same lump, and they stood up and said, "You know what? You're wrong for that. You shouldn't do that," then things would be very different. And I do feel that some of these conversations are actually taking place finally. I hope that this thing continues to burn and catch on and do what it does. I'm glad that the conversation is finally on the table. It's about time. It's taken a very long time for us to get here. And one thing that I do enjoy very much is watching these young people. These young people are showing out. They're showing up and they're showing out. I don't believe that at this point we have realized the amount of damage that has been done in our communities yet. My city, and I was instructed that I probably should not continue to discuss the things that are taking place and use Chicago as my measuring stick. However, I talk about Chicago because it is my home. Shit, I still got property there. I still got people there. And the thing is this. They tearing that city up. But it's not the only city in America being destroyed. Here's the problem, though. Here's the real problem, because the property it's a big deal, but it ain't a big deal. Because if you got insurance, which most people should have, you'll be all right. But here's the thing. With COVID just lingering in the background, because it is still here, a lot of people seem to think it has gone away. We already dealt with the effects of it. I lost a family member to it. I've had several friends become ill because of it. What's going to happen is it's going to come back. We already have suffered economically over the last 3 to 4 months because of a pandemic. On the heels of a pandemic, the country has gone nuts. There are people in the street by the tens of thousands right now as we speak. They are in the street for a reason, and it benefits us. It has shut down businesses. Jobs have been lost. Companies have been lost. Some of them will come back. Many of them won't. Some of them are mom and pop businesses. Some of them are major corporations. But here's the thing. A friend of mine called me last night to tell me, just to give you an example of how crazy this is. He said that I'm sitting here and I don't have no insulin. And I can't go to the store because they're either looted already or boarded up. Now, this is in Chicago. So fortunately, we have a person, a classmate that we knew of who was able to help him with that, who is a doctor. Well, the thing is, just to show you how these things affect people, let's say an elderly person in the neighborhood needs something, they won't be able to get it because these things will become unavailable because, of course, these places will be boarded up, and it's going to take a long time before they are reconstructed, even if it is a major corporation or a small company with insurance. In other words, the infrastructure of particular areas of the city have been destroyed. Now, while I'd like to point fingers, here's the problem. I can't point fingers. I can't point fingers because I already know that the people, and I'm going to go back over my list that we went over a couple of days ago. You have a multitude of individuals out here who are not the same, that are a part of everything that's going on in these streets. You have protesters. These are your people who are seeking justice. These are the people that I'm looking at right now on CNN. They're out here walking around and they're carrying their signs and they're marching and they're talking and they're demanding justice. Part of which I believe began to manifest more today with the arrest of the other 3 officers. Now, behind those you have rioters. Those are people who just like to tear up a bunch of stuff and raise a whole lot of hell. They're more or less anarchists. Now, protesters and rioters walk a fine line. Sometimes they cross over. But then behind the rioters, you have the looters. Now, the looters are the ones that are opportunists. They're going to take advantage of everything that they can and take what they can get out of the situation. Now, the looters are the ones that have caused the most problems because they don't care about a protest or anything else. On the other hand, there's a flip side of that. These are people who feel like, hell, nobody ever gave me anything, and I've done plenty. I've done my homework. My ancestors have put in the work. I deserve this, and they take what they think they're owed. I have a problem with that idea, but that's just me. So behind that, you have your agent provocateurs. These are the individuals, your white nationalist groups, your police who have infiltrated, the individuals who are looking for ways to create problems within the movement or to derail the movement. Now, with these protesters, that's a good thing. But when we talk about the looters and we start talking about the economic fallout and the things that are going to take place in regard to what's happening with all of the looting and destruction, we have to watch what that's going to do. See, we still haven't felt the economic effects from coronavirus. Then we got to still deal with the effects of these protests and the looting. I figure about September, October, things are going to be tightening up real bad. And I've said before in previous last couple of shows, start preparing for that. It's going to get kind of ugly. There are going to be more people getting sick. And there's going to be a lot to be done in regard to employment and also the losses that people have suffered. Now, I said all of that to say this, because see, I'm going to get to the looters booty part in a little bit. Today I had a conversation with an Arab American young lady on one of my Facebook feeds. And she, like a few of her colleagues who were on that same thread, she had a bit of an issue with, of course, she was on there complaining about how they had been looted and their store destroyed and she could do nothing about it and this type of thing. The thread was made because someone on there, of course, had a problem with all of the Arab Americans who are in Chicago, and I'm using Chicago once again, and it's not only Chicago because they're doing it in LA that I know of for sure, New York and Philly. These Arab Americans, of course, because they do band together, they do have a collective way of doing things. They are protecting their stores. They have actually been on the roof out front, and they're physically protecting their stores with automatic fire, or should I say semi-automatic machine gun type things. You know, they out there like, no, don't run up. Don't run up. You run up, it's going to be a problem. Now, this is a clip right here from a situation that I was paying attention to. Y'all watch this.
كسروا أول دكان يا أحمد لا تشوفه لا تشوفه لا حول ولا قوة.
See him scatter?
Look.
You hear him say,
عقف رجزه عقف رجزه خرجهم بالداخل داخل أنا في
See, they was about to get them. They not going. So I'm saying this, and this is where her and I, she made a statement to me. She said, if black folks have a problem with us defending our property in this way, then they can leave us be and they can open their own stores in their own neighborhoods. Needless to say, I took offense to that because you think you're doing us a favor. The thing is, she wanted to know really what my problem was, and I told her that it was simple economics. And I asked her, my question to her was, how many of you Arabs live in the black community by the stores that you operate? And needless to say, her deflective response was, a lot of people don't live in the area where they operate their business. And I said, okay, I got that. I said, because the thing is this, since there has been so much destruction, so much torn down, I'm a firm believer. Sometimes, hell, I tear a whole bunch of stuff down just to build something new. I promise I will. I'll tear up real good stuff to build something new. For me, the silver lining in what's happening is that because we don't have enough black-owned businesses within our own community, this is something that we need to pay very close attention to and give a lot of consideration to. My hope in a perfect world is that we can rebuild and replace kind of like what Trump said, repeal and replace. We can rebuild and replace these businesses with businesses that will cause our community to thrive, and the dollar can remain within the community and circulate the way that it is supposed to, and we can build back what we had as a community. I don't even want to say back, because back is not a good place to be. And I only say that because sometimes we get caught up in the false ideology of thinking that let's go back to the old days, or let's things go back to the way they were. Nothing is going to ever go back to the way that it was. All we're going to do is move forward and grow and become stronger, faster, bigger, and smarter. No matter what, though, tomorrow we'll never get back. We have right now, and yesterday we'll never get back, and tomorrow is not a promise. So what we have to do is think about what we can do in order to move forward and strengthen ourselves in our community. And economically speaking, my question to her again was, why don't you have your stores in your community? See, black folks, we got a problem. We allow everybody and their mama to come into our community and open businesses, and we sit there and we support them. She posed to me that all of the things they did in the community, we give turkeys at Thanksgiving, and we do this and we do that. And she was telling me all the stuff that they supposedly do in the community. All that sounds real good. But when every day you collect your receipts from all of the revenue of the people of the community, and they come into your store and they buy things, and then you turn around and put the money in your bank, and that money leaves our community. You know, dollar doesn't circulate in the black community. It's less than 6 hours. That's not good. And then we wonder why we stay losing. We have to start giving more thought to these things. Somebody got to make it where, instead of us keep waiting on somebody else to put a program together for us to understand economics and for us to do our banking and all of the other collective educational things that we need to be doing within our own communities, again, we are they. Until we put that thing together and make it work, we're going to continue to suffer. But we got to do it. Ain't nobody going to take care of us. We got to take care of ourselves. You know, it's really as simple as that. So I'm going to say this. And this is where y'all going to, I got a question for everybody. The looter's booty. What is the looter's booty? Well, the looter's booty is all the stuff that these people ran out here and stole over the last week. That's the booty. The booty is the kitty. The booty is the bounty. The booty, you know, that's what the pirates used to say. The pirate's booty. This is the looter's booty. Here's my question. Where's all this stuff going? Whose kids are out there taking all of this stuff, and where is it going? Do you know where your kids are? Are you allowing this merchandise to come into your home? Are you aware of, I'm really curious about that. What would you do if you came home and your kid literally had your living room full of television sets? What would you do? Would you go along? Would you sell them off? What would you do? You know, this is something to think about. Now, I have another video that I find incredibly interesting. I gotta find it, but I got to thinking about that, and I said to myself, like, wow, you know, like, if I came home, and I actually had to, I guess, contemplate it. If I came home and my child, I think I'd kick his ass. That's just me though. So, but because I don't want all that in my house. But when you think about it, you kind of understand why people do what they do. It's no different than those whose children are out here slinging dope or doing many other things that they do, and they bring that loot, that booty, back to the house, and they pay the light bill. What you gonna say in your light bill due? Don't pay the light bill? It becomes some people have more integrity than others. Renee Ford, you're absolutely right. No elderly person should be without food. Your mother will take the belt to your ass. Look, let me tell you something. My mama, ain't no way in the hell you coming up in there with nothing that you shouldn't have. But now, here's an interesting thing that I ran across. This is going on while all of this was happening. Now I want y'all to pay attention to this. Look on top of that truck. Those are snipers. That's on Clark and Pulaski, right inside the city. Now, that shows you right there that they ain't playing. And all they want you to do is slip just a little bit. One of your kids end up with a bullet in them. And for what? It's insane. I'm trying to find this doggone video that I had. That ain't it. Well, I don't know. I probably can't find it. I'll find it later. Anyway, my point is this. What do you do when you come home and your child has effectively loaded up your house with stolen merch? Here we go. Here's the video. Check this one out.
I gotta go, but boy.
Absolutely right. Look, Michael Samsonite. Look, check this out. People think they think it's sweet right now. It ain't sweet. Wait until things slow down. Look at them on this train. They got that container car open, and they are pulling TVs out of there like it's going out of style. That's out in Dalton, I believe. I heard about this. This is the first time I've seen the video on it though. But this, absolutely, Robert. My mama, you already know. Now that's crazy. They running alongside a moving train, still attempting to get product out of there. So again, the thing is this. There is going to be an economic fallout from everything that's taking place. We haven't seen it yet, but it's coming. All I'm going to say to you all is prepare. The time is absolutely coming. We got to figure out what side of the game we on when we sit there and we'll allow our children to continue to play into everything that's going on. My notes. Now, on a lighter note, I'm gonna bring this little topic up right quick. A couple of things. Yeah, let me go to this lighter note right quick. Some of y'all might find this funny, some of you may not. And trust when I say this, I have no intentions of disrespecting that young man and his demise. However, it appears that Mr. George Floyd has a porn movie out. I had heard that, and it was said that it was false when I watched one of those posts somewhere, and they said it was false. And so I did a little homework, and it turns out that it is actually a video out here. It's on a thing called the Habib Show, and it is, I'm just going to tell y'all, you do what you want with this. The young lady that he's in the movie with is named Kimberly Brinks. That's for the more morbid who might want to see something like that. Her name is Kimberly Brinks. You can look that up. It is a part of what they call the Habib Show. It's a porn website, I believe. And yes, he is in a porn movie. I've seen it. Anyway, moving along. Renee says, I wonder how the lawsuits are going to work behind this mess. Linda Triato identified herself as press. Minneapolis police or National Guard gave, yeah, she was shot in the eye with a rubber bullet. She is now blind in her left eye. Wow. Ooh-wee. She's trying to get back to work. Her doctors are not. Yes, there are going to be a ton of lawsuits. Yes, there are. They're going to be a ton of lawsuits. The court system is going to be backed all the way up. Not only from these protests and all of the actions and things that have taken place, but also from COVID-19. There are going to be lawsuits coming from that, from the people who've been infected and made sick and a bunch of other stuff. This thing is about to turn into a real mess. Now, the other thing is, I found out that apparently the $20 bill that started all of this is not counterfeit. The store clerk who called on George Floyd thought that it was a counterfeit bill and called the police. The owner of the store was actually on camera today stating that he would no longer ever call the police in a situation like this because that man shouldn't be dead. I wonder how sincere he is. And I only say that because being the catalyst for the death of George Floyd and the global situation, it could be very precarious for him and his business in that neighborhood. And so one wonders if he is sincere or whether or not he is just saying, okay. But it has also been, he also pledged that he is going to also partially pay for the funeral of George Floyd. So, oh, okay. And Floyd Mayweather is also kicking in. So that's a good thing. Anyway, we know my man is going to get a righteous send off. So that's very important. So, and one of the things that, and I'm just going to say this, I'm slightly disappointed in when I watched today's press conference with Benjamin Crump, the family lawyer, and his son came out to speak on behalf of his father. It prompted me to do a little more homework, and I found out that basically he didn't even know his father. Not that matters. Don't misunderstand me. But I just thought it was rather unfortunate that he didn't have more to say about the situation and what needs to take place. I would like to see more people that are close to that family be more vocal and have more to say about what needs to happen in regard to the black community where justice is served. His brother, fortunately, does have a voice like that, and he has been very vocal. I'm happy about that. I would have liked to have seen his son be a little more aggressive in his conversation, but he appeared to be a little bit shaken, if you will, and that's understandable. So I won't hold him to that high of a standard. We'll just leave that where it is.
But it was another video that he wasn't shaking and he was speaking.
Well, yeah. Anyway, now I want to get to another topic, which involves my police friends. Today, I believe there was an officer killed in St. Louis. He used to be he was a captain, retired, lost his life. He was shot trying to protect a pawn shop. Over the last few days, I have seen a few police officers physically get their ass kicked on camera. And I'm sure that that's pissing off a lot of police. Here's the thing. It shows you and I'm gonna tell you, this is what I got from it. It shows you that there are far too many police officers who have a sort of Superman mentality. Willie Everett, thank you for checking in, my brother. And what I mean by that is this. We see mobs of individuals running up in stores, taking everything that ain't nailed down by the hundreds in any one store at any given time. What would make anyone think that they are going to stop a mob of people? You don't know who's in that mob. You might have straight up killers in that mob. You don't know what you're dealing with. I don't care if you are the police. But here's the unfortunate part about what I believe the attitude of a lot of these officers are, and the very reason why we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now. And this is no disrespect to my police officer friends, because I have plenty. You ain't Superman. Why would you put your life on the line to protect somebody's merchandise? Tell y'all a little story. One time, some years and years ago, when I lived in Georgia, this was back in the 80s, I worked a security job. And I went through enough stuff trying to protect other people's property that I finally figured out this ain't worth it. Ain't nothing they got in this store worth my life. There was a young lady who worked at the company before I got there who apparently was attempting to stop a shoplifter from leaving the store. And she stood in front of the door. The girl came through and she was like, "You got to stop." The girl said, "I ain't stopping." She tried to stop her. The girl stabbed her and killed her right there on the floor. What part of other people's property are we going to learn to understand that it's not worth your life? Now, I understand that police officers are supposed to keep the peace. But here's the problem. If you got 100 people running at you and you got a gun and a badge, what makes you think you're going to win that? You might shoot one of them, two of them. They're going to kill you. It's not worth it. You don't know which one of them going to shoot back. When I watched a police officer in one of these videos, it was in Atlanta, I believe that was Monday or Tuesday, and I watched a police officer attempt to arrest someone. In his attempt to arrest him, 4 or 5 people jumped on him. That, of course, made him very angry. He jumped up and tried to grab 2 people. 4 or 5 more people jumped on him. Another undercover officer ran up and grabbed him and pulled him away from the melee. And he was ready to run back over there. Another cop grabbed him and was like, "Man, what are you doing?" He turned around and he took off the other way. And I thought to myself, see, that's that I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. Bruh, you don't have no backup. See, you can act that way and behave that way when you have backup. When you got 10,000 people staring down 1,000 cops, even though y'all stick together, by right, you still cannot even defend yourself. But that ego, that will or willingness to place yourself in harm's way because you are not going to be outdone will get you killed. My man in St. Louis found that out. The officers in LA, Oakland, they got killed early in the week. Found that out. I get that it's a job and I get you need to do your job, but you need to use common sense. The inflated ego of many police officers is the reason why we have a global uprising going on right now, because there are far too many with egos that are so large that they place themselves in harm's way every day. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I believe that police reform is a very necessary thing, and that's what all of this hopefully is going to bring about. Nicholas Brown, how are you this evening? Don What in the building. It's a necessity that we have police reform. We watched 44+1 attempt to prove that he was powerful and he was going to dominate the other day. And he moved a bunch of people with tear gas and the military. When we get to a place in this country where our government turns its military on the people, we got a problem. When we have police officers who have been militarized to the point of believing that they are above the law, we got a problem. If police reform doesn't come, we're going to have a real big problem, because here's why. Where's the next tragedy going to be? When will the next tragedy happen? When I say tragedy, I'm talking about an unarmed black person getting shot or beaten by the police. Can this country stand another George Floyd? Can it stand it? Will we be able to sustain it? Will we be able to live through it without this level of chaos, or will it get worse? Now, I need you to understand this. There are other countries who don't like us, many of whom don't like us because of the Orange Julius, who has alienated us from many of our allies globally. There are countries waiting in the wings for us to fold. We're in a bad situation right now, and I don't think people realize that. Today, we had Lindsey Graham. He's urging older judges to retire before the election so that Republicans can be placed in these judgeships. We have other countries plotting against us, using bots on our social media, planting seeds of dissension, causing people to be divided in their ideologies and the way we do things. Now, I know that we have our divisions in America. I know that we have our racial tensions and our issues, but we all still Americans. And if we don't act accordingly, you don't have to worry about any of these other problems, because these problems are going to go away pretty quick. And when they do, it's not going to be what you think it is. Business as usual, that's going to be over. And life as you know it is going to change in ways that I don't think many of us are prepared for. At some point, we must get our heads out of the sand, and especially in the black community, because we have the power, we have the economics to make a difference. It's up to us to take care of us. There is no they. Black folks need to get away from this savior mentality that we have. We walk around believing every day that somebody gonna save us. When they gonna come do this and when they gonna come do that? Put it in Jesus' hands. Listen, even God didn't tell you to just sit back and wait. He'll put the tools you need in front of you. He ain't gonna put nothing on you can't handle. You gotta act like you're gonna handle it. There's a time when we must stand up and start to take care of our own. Okay, so what? Chicago got looted. So what? The neighborhoods got boarded up and things went on. Okay, let's rebuild. Let's do this. Let's get this thing together. Let's start putting it all back together. Only this time, we do collective funding. Let's put together pools. Okay, I'm watching people right now. I ain't gonna say no names. You know who you are. I'm watching people right now take money and pool it together and then wait a couple of weeks and get a lump sum of money, and then they do it again. If you can do that, you can take that same money and build businesses. This type of collective financing and collective economics is exactly how the same people who come into your communities every day and open up businesses and start to take that money back out of the community, it's exactly how they operate. They build each other up. And they put these businesses within the communities where your money funnels in and funnels out so fast that you never get to feel any parts of it. When does that happen? Absolutely, Regina. Yep. Jesus got mad and he flipped over the tables. That's what I'm talking about. It's time to flip over some tables. It's time to rebuild and build. And this is for every community, because there's communities all the way across these United States that have been destroyed over the last week economically. And these jobs will go to our children. These jobs will be beneficial to our community. These stores will benefit us. Where's the black beauty supply stores? Where are my black nail technicians? Okay. These are the things that need to be placed in those places. Them liquor stores, they don't even need to be rebuilt. Okay. Let's just keep it 100. It's a whole lot of stuff that we can do without. There's a whole lot of things that we can do more of. There's a whole lot of things that we can do to benefit one another, and the infrastructure can be built in a way that it benefits us as a community and within our own culture. But we have to go ahead and do that and not keep waiting on them or they to come and do it for us, because they're not going to do it. And don't expect no loans from the bank. Ain't no banks giving us no money, especially since they know what's going on. And they've been trying to gentrify us all this time anyway. So it's time to do some collective bargaining. We need to start groups, financial groups. Get together, a bunch of people get together, pool some money, put it all together, and make a business flourish. It can be done. Everybody can benefit from it, and it could be a beautiful thing. But first, we got to respect who we are and respect one another. And I know that sometimes can be a challenge, but it can be done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that I've covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to cover tonight. Because I'm trying not to do a marathon like I've been doing. Y'all know I can go on. I can go on and on and on and on and on, and we don't want to be on no babbling. Oh, yeah, one last thing. When we were talking about the police, the super cops, and I did intend to mention them in this. 6 cops in Atlanta are all being fired and have all been arrested because of this overzealous behavior. They got charged with criminal destruction of property, assault and battery, and a few other things, because they ran up on two college students, neither of which looked like they weighed about 150 pounds between the two of them. Very soft-spoken. Broke out their car windows, popped their car tires, snatched them out of the car, tased them, handcuffed them, beat them down on the ground. And this is the exact reason why we're where we are right now. Sadly, I believe the majority of those officers were black. And we all know that you still can't even be a black officer and behave like the white officers, because your disciplinary actions are going to be drastically different. What was that officer that got arrested a year or two ago and convicted for killing that white woman? I don't remember this story. That was in Minneapolis, matter of fact. That officer got convicted 20 years. See, once again, the inequality is still prevalent. It's going to still be there, but it has to be pointed out. It has to be confronted. It has to be faced, and it has to be dealt with. We got to deal with it. But if we're not going to stand up and make the difference, then it doesn't matter. And that's why I say, and I said, capitalize off of the moment. This is a wave that we need to ride. If you've got any injustices happening around you, you feel like you're being discriminated against, you feel like something is wrong because of the skin color, your skin is not a crime. You are not to be treated differently because of it. The world is watching. People are paying attention. People in other countries are depending upon us to fight for our freedoms so that they have something to fight for themselves. That's what's happening. I heard an Australian reporter today ask about what one would say. They asked this actually to George Floyd's son. What would he say to the Aboriginal people of Australia who were fighting for justice the same way Black Americans were? Unfortunately, he did not have an answer for him. I wish I could have been standing there when he said that. But there are people around the world watching us for many, many reasons. You have those who want to see us fall and who would help to destroy us, who are going to, in fact, inject things into the game on the internet and social media that's going to help that. Then there are those who are watching because they need inspiration and they need us to come up and be strong so that they know that it is possible. And then there are those who are just watching and ridiculing. And that's okay, because it ain't nothing new. See, one thing about all of this that people need to understand, there's nothing happening at any of these events or anything that's going on that black folks ain't used to. We already know the game. It's these white folks that's being shocked into reality. It's the white people that are finally opening their eyes and the shells are falling off and they're seeing the carnage. They're seeing the injustices with their own eyes. They took their blinders off. Many more are being snatched off. And so because of that, we are able to take advantage of what's happening. So there's plenty of more stuff for me to cover. I'm not going to cover nothing else. But, people protect. Yeah, you really can't. The question was, should we say something about people about protecting themselves from looting? Listen, if somebody trying to take your shit, give it to them and be done with it. It's not worth it. And if it's something you don't want somebody to take, try to keep it put away. That's all I can tell you. Listen, I'm a pistol packing, whatever you want to call me. But I can tell you this much. I know when to hold them and I know when to fold them. And there's some things I'm not going to try. I know when I'm outnumbered. Yes, it might hurt my feelings if somebody ran up and smashed my car windows or bust my, headlights or whatever they doing, or even got carjacked. During this time that we're in, people, please remain safe. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. They are killing people. The police ain't coming. They not. You can call them. Hey, look, somebody bust you in the head and take your stuff. The police ain't coming. Not right now. Stay out the street. Hell, you ought to be at home anyway. It's COVID out here. It's just not. There's certain things, and this goes back to the Superman mentality that I just talked about, where the police are concerned. You need to know. You need to understand what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with normal circumstances. You don't have, ain't nobody got your back. Now, if it's only a few, I feel like I got a pretty good chance. I keep a couple of toys on deck. You know what I'm talking about? My point is, what? Why? My point is this: it don't matter. If I'm outnumbered, I'm outnumbered. I ain't stupid. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna get away. Take this and I'm gone. I'm telling y'all, be safe out here. That's it. It's as simple as that. Don't be foolish. Don't be like some of these officers that think they can lock up the world. You ain't Superman. Stay safe. These things, you can get them again. You can't get that life back. It ain't worth it. Let them have it. I give some of those people who got looted, I give them credit. I saw some live videos where they literally were standing there and people were taking stuff right out of their store. And then one man said, you can't do nothing about it. And he stood there and he watched them clean his store out. I heard, in fact, a good friend of mine, police officer, told me about a store in Chicago where they literally They just left the door open. They didn't even lock. They like, hey man, look, just don't bust the windows. Go ahead. They let them get the stuff. What are you gonna do? What you gonna do? Stand out there and get away from my store. Guess what? In a place like Chicago, I don't know about anywhere else. Place like Chicago, you can shoot at them if you want to. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna shoot back. Is it worth it? You can have a gunfight over what? I ain't doing it. Man, take this shit. It is what it is, bro. We are living in a very different time. This is not like normal stuff. This just ain't the same. Use common sense, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here. And I want everybody to have themselves a safe evening. I wish everyone peace. I thank everyone for coming here and spending their time with me, hanging out. I want you to subscribe to my YouTube. That's BM Forbes on YouTube. You can check out my website, bmforbes.com. You can get your copy of The Black Factor, which, by the way, I'm currently sold out. I have got a new shipment coming in next week. And don't forget to check out my girl, Tara Jenkins. Tara Jenkins on Facebook. Royalty LLC. That's my hookup for my tea. My tea is good too. She got a nice package too, y'all. She got all kind of specials going on. She's for Father's Day month. She got a whole thing going on. Let's see. She's got the chamomile rose of the mango oolong, dried mint leaf, the marigold, good for inflammation, right? Rosa black and the lynch black. Y'all should check them out. They good. I like them. I enjoy them. They're good and relaxing. Make a brother feel good. And her name is Tara Jenkins, by the way. And she can be reached at Tara Jenkins at royaltyllc.com. And it's at 386-344-7744. Tara Jenkins. You can find her on Facebook, Tara Jenkins. Yeah, Royalty LLC. She got it going on. Anyway, we're going to get out of here, y'all. I tried to cover as much stuff as I could just to provide a little food for thought and give you something to think about and make you dig a little deeper. I like to take you down the rabbit hole, make you have to do your homework. And like I always say, anything that I say on here, you ain't got to believe me. Look it up for yourself. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to look it up, because then that means you're going to do your homework, and it means you're going to go down the rabbit hole. You're going to figure out some more stuff, and it just makes you think a little more and dig a little deeper. So with that said, everybody have yourselves a wonderful evening. Have a safe evening. Keep yourselves locked in, locked up for as long as you can. Be smart. And if your kid come home with a whole bunch of TVs, kick their ass. All right, y'all, we out. Love, peace, and chicken grease.